understanding of each and every market, how does they are working, and then you are combining all of the systems and framework like the Agoda that you mentioned, 1.5 billion. That's literally crazy.
You have to understand that there's a difference between marketing and selling.
And how we can develop a desire in our customer mind, how someone can create this level of marketing message that actually push customers to buy their product.
It all begins by understanding first, what does your market want? What problem do they have that they want solved? Differentiation, showing what makes your solution different from the others, is the key to getting attention. Complexity is the enemy of scale in business. Make them an offer for your product or service that is so good, it's hard for them to say no. Until you have a consistent way to acquire new buyers, you don't have a business.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Entrepreneurs Warrior Show. This is where we interview entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, and so awesome entrepreneurs. And in this amazing series, today we have one of the super awesome guests with us. He helped A-level entrepreneurs creating best level of customer acquisition system. He is considered the one authority of engineering profitable customer acquisition campaign. He is the author of best-selling book E5 Method. We are also going to discuss about it in today's session. And the big thing is he have a client and students in over 66 different countries and operating in 65 different mass and niches. So without further ado, let's welcome the legend of direct response marketing, Todd Brown, on the stage. Hi, Todd.
How are you, man? I'm excited to be here with you.
I'm super excited and pumped up to host an interview with you. I'm super pumped up.
Cool. Me too.
Yes, thank you so much. So, Todd, can you please share with us about your journey? Because might be there is a few listeners or audience who have no idea about your story. So can you please share your story in a quick way, how you entered in the field of direct response marketing and what inspired you to pursue this path?
Yeah. So many moons ago. So I've been involved in the direct response marketing universe for a little bit over 2 decades. So a little bit over 20 years. I was first exposed to direct response marketing when I was working for a health club company. So a company that owns several gyms. And I was responsible for doing internal marketing within these health clubs. And I knew nothing about marketing. At the time, I didn't know the difference between marketing and advertising. And so I got a postcard in the mail from a gentleman who was selling a fitness marketing system. It was really for personal trainers, for individuals that work one-on-one with clients. And so I purchased it. I asked my boss at the time if I could expense it. He said yes. And I got this gigantic home study course that really was my first exposure to direct response. And I learned about the idea of long form copy, of crafting and presenting offers, of headlines, of overcoming objections in your messaging. And so I began to implement everything that I was learning, and I tweaked it and changed it for the health club environment. And then one thing led to another, and my department took off. We were doing about $3 million a year internally in new revenue from the marketing, the new direct response marketing that I was doing. And then after about 2 years of doing that, I wanted to see if I could put my new marketing chops, my new marketing skills to the test in a separate business. And so I started marketing and selling something else to massage therapists. And that was the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey.
That's inspiring, man. Like you work in a gym. So I think that's the inspiration you got to build your body. That's where you got the inspiration to work on your physics. Because I love...
I know we were talking about that before the interview. I think, man, the inspiration came from the fact that, first of all, I'm short. And so I'm only about 5'5". And so growing up, I was really skinny. I was really small. And so I was never good in athletics. I was always like in school, picked last for any sporting events. And so it was my way of, I always looked at the Incredible Hulk, and I looked at the big guys, and I always loved it. And so I started weight training when I was like 16 years old and fell in love with it, fell in love with what it did for, my body, my self-confidence. And I think today, for what it's worth, I continue to love the sport of bodybuilding and competing. I like it because it's an individual sport. And so there's nobody else to rely on. It comes down to what it is that you're willing to do every day, your discipline, your focus, your ambition, right? There's no excuses. You can't point at anybody else. And so, yeah, man.
I love this story, man. At the age of 16, you got this. I have to work on my physics and I have to make it like beautiful. And this is something really inspiring that at the age of 50, your body is literally so much you work on yourself. Like you don't look like a 50. I, I really acknowledge your body. Like it's awesome. You are amazing. Many successful entrepreneurs and including Russell Brunson highly recommend your E5 method. So could you elaborate on what this E5 method is and how you develop it? Like, how did you create this system or create this method?
Yeah, so there are a couple deep questions in there, so I'm going to try to keep it as brief as I can.
Yes,
So
definitely.
first and foremost, the single most important activity in any and every business is customer acquisition, the ability to acquire new customers or clients every day, right? Consistently, day in and day out. That is the lifeblood of every business. So early on, I focused on the type of marketing, like what do I need to do from a marketing perspective to make sure that in any of our companies, in any of my ventures, that we're able to acquire new customers every day and do it at scale, meaning do it at the right volume needed. And so the E5 method is really a process for engineering a marketing message that an entrepreneur can use to acquire new buyers or customers from paid advertising online and do it in a way where they get consistent results, right? They can do it at scale to grow their business, meaning it's a methodology that focuses on the lifeblood of a business. Like, look, let me say this for everybody listening, right? Until you have a consistent way to acquire new buyers, you don't have a business, right? You do not have a business until you have a consistent vehicle
Definitely.
to acquire new customers, new buyers every day. So that was my focus. Now, how I developed the E5 method, this is interesting. And again, I'm going to be as brief as I can here. So
Yes, please.
my background is unique compared to most of the other marketing experts out there, in that very early on in my journey, I had one foot in the typical online marketing world, right? And so I got to see what the best marketers in the world online were doing, all the tactics, all the strategies, all the hacks, all the cool things there. But at the same time that I had that one foot in that universe, I was blessed to have one foot in the direct response publishing arena. The direct response publishing arena, like companies like the Agora companies. And for those of your listeners that aren't familiar with who Agora is really what we call the 800-pound gorilla in the world of direct response. At their peak, they were doing about a little bit over $1.5 billion a year with direct response in selling and marketing newsletters, mostly financial and health related newsletters. So if you look at what Agora has done and was doing every year, it was more than the entire internet marketing community combined per year. But so I had one foot in the internet marketing world and one foot in this direct response publishing world. And so I got to see the best of each. I got to see what the online marketers were doing that the Agoras of the direct response publishing world weren't doing. But I also got to see what they were doing that the typical online marketing or online marketer wasn't doing. And over time, I was really able to take the best of both worlds and bring it together into a seamless process that is now known as the E5 method. And then I was able to bring that seamless method, that E5 method, to the online marketing world as well as the direct response publishing world, so both could benefit. And that's really it in a nutshell.
That's literally crazy, man. Means coming from all understanding of each and every market, how does they are working, and then you are combining all of the systems and framework like the Agora that you mentioned, 1.5 billion. That's literally crazy. And then you convert it into the E5 method. That's amazing.
Yeah,
And
I'll tell you for what it's worth. Let me give a little bit of value. Let me
yes,
share a little bit
definitely.
of what's kind of at the heart of this. So there are a couple things, without going too deep. There are a couple things that everybody needs to be aware of. Everybody that is listening, that's watching this, that is marketing and selling a product or a service. Number one is that you have to understand that there's a difference between marketing and selling.
Yeah.
Marketing and selling are not the same activity. And a lot of online marketers, they conflate the two, and they talk about sales funnels and marketing funnels as if they are the same thing. A lot of new entrepreneurs, new to the online world, when they're taught how to market and sell a product, what they're really taught is selling, is salesmanship. And salesmanship is wildly different than marketing chops. What I learned really what I learned from kind of studying, both of these industries was that the direct response publishers placed a huge amount of emphasis on marketing. And I want to give some takeaways here so that everybody really can use this and do something with it. So
Yes.
what do I mean? What do I mean? So what is the difference between marketing and selling? Well, selling is when you're talking about your product or your service, when you're talking about the features, the advantages, the benefits of your product or service, when you're talking about the offer, the price point, the guarantee, the terms, all of that kind of stuff. When you're talking about the product, the service, the offer, your company, that's all selling. And that's appropriate when you are talking to prospects that already know what it is that they want, and they already know that they want your type of product. And now ultimately what they're looking for from you is, why should I choose your product over all the other options? But marketing is when you are talking about the prospect, their particular problem, obstacles, frustrations, pain points, and when you are presenting them with a better option to solve the underlying problem that they have. Ultimately, what you have to understand is that, and this is what I learned from this direct response publishing world, what you really have to understand is the job of marketing, really the aim, the job, the objective of marketing is to make selling superfluous, meaning to make selling unnecessary, meaning to make the offer portion, right, just a simple natural extension. What you ultimately want to do through the marketing is you want to move the prospect to want your product or service before you ever even talk about the product or service, before you ever even introduce the offer. And that's the big difference. So online, most people are taught how to sell, how to write sales copy, right? How to talk about the benefits of their product or service.
Yeah.
But yet, what I learned over here and what became a central part of the E5 method is, how do we talk to prospects that don't yet know what they want, that aren't sure the type of product or service that they want? And how do we move them? How do we speak to them? How do we educate them in a way so that before we ever even talk about our product, they want it? That's the difference.
That's literally crazy. It's all about creating desire, deep desire. And you already serve in 65 different niches. So, what kind of deep desire is something that actually pushes people to buy? Like, this is something I want to buy, and how we can develop a desire in our customer mind? Like, it's you just mentioned the marketing message. So, in each and every industry there is a different marketing message. So if you want to give some ideas in different industry of marketing message, so how someone can create this level of marketing message that actually push people, push customers to buy their product?
Yeah. So it's a great question. So, first and foremost, everything begins with understanding your marketplace, understanding your audience. Really, the reality is this is that you have to realize that when you're that all of business success really comes down to ultimately the easier path to business success comes down to giving people a solution to a problem that they already want to have solved. In other words, when it all starts with the people that you're talking to, what do they want? What is the problem or the pain point or the frustration or the disappointment that they're already aware of that they want removed from their life? What's the change, the improvement, the enhancement, the transformation that your audience already wants to experience in their life? So we're not coming up with, as marketers, as entrepreneurs, we're not coming up with these thoughts or these ideas or this copy or this language. We're looking at the marketplace and we're letting the marketplace tell us what matters to them, what's important to them, what do they want, what don't they want. And then what we're ultimately doing is we're crafting and we're engineering, we're putting together a solution, we're putting together something that we can say to them, what you want, this will do for you. And this will do it for you better, faster, safer, more predictably, cheaper than any other option out there. See, everybody that's listening, everybody that's watching this needs to realize one thing, okay? When you market and sell a product, you are marketing and selling a solution. You're marketing and selling a solution. That is a solution to an underlying problem that your audience has and ultimately that they're already aware of and that they want solved. Now, there are two different types of problems that we're ultimately solving, that you listening, everybody is solving. There is either the existence of a pain point, a frustration, a disappointment, right? Like this is somebody is in debt. They don't know how to get out of debt. Somebody, their marriage is falling apart and, they're on the verge of getting divorced and they want to stop it. Somebody's got diabetes and it's out of control and they don't know what to do about it. That is right. That's one category of problem that we solve. But then there's another category, which is an unfulfilled desire. People that want to, let's say, they want to learn how to make millions of dollars in real estate investing, or they want to gain a six-pack and they're, six-pack abs and they don't know exactly how to do it. That is what we call an unfulfilled desire. Well, both of those categories are what we call, right, problems. We start by knowing what is the problem that the marketplace has that we can solve. What is the pain point, the frustration, or the unfulfilled desire that they have that we're now going to offer them a solution to? See, we're offering solutions. Our product, our service is a solution for the problem that they have. And so I'm sharing all of this to answer the core question of, like, what do you say? How do you put together a marketing message that resonates, in all these different markets? It all begins by understanding first and foremost, what does your market want? What problem do they have that they want solved? What is the transformation, the change that they want to experience? And then, then it's our job to show them that we have a solution to give them everything that they want and that our solution is better than the other options. That's it. If you really boil effective marketing down, that's what you're saying to them. I've got a new and different solution to the problem that you have. And this new and different solution is superior to the other options out there. Here's what makes it superior, and here's what it will do for you. And here is an opportunity for you to buy it.
That's literally insane mic drop idea, mic drop thing you just shared with us, because it's all about finding a big problem and giving the solution and converting it into the solution. That's how you are actually attracting the client, you are actually attracting the CEO. Really powerful thing. So guys, if you are listening us right now, make sure you take notes, because Todd is sharing a lot of deep insights with client in over 66 and 72 countries and across various markets. What are some common challenges you observed in their customer acquisition campaign, that how do you help them in overcome these challenges? Like, what kind of challenges people have while acquiring the customers?
Yeah. So there's many. There's a variety. I'll cover a couple
Yes,
for
please.
folks. One of the biggies is differentiation in a crowded marketplace. And so meaning that if you are marketing and selling a product in a market, in a niche, to an audience that is also where there are also lots of other competitors that are trying to sell to that marketplace. What do you do to stand out? How do you get attention in a crowded marketplace? And the key is that you've got to recognize that differentiation, showing what makes your solution different from the others, is the key to getting attention. A lot of marketers, a lot of new entrepreneurs think that they can get attention if they merely just make a bigger promise. If they promise more than what everybody else is promising, or they mistakenly think that they can get attention if they use lots of hyperbole, lots of exaggerated claims, lots of adjectives and adverbs in their copy. The reality is that the most effective way to get attention, to stand out in a crowded and saturated marketplace, is with differentiation, by showing what makes your solution different. And the best way of demonstrating differentiation is what's called a unique mechanism. And so bear with me for 1 second here. This is something that we teach as part of the E5 method, but this is one of the most valuable lessons that your folks can learn as it relates to marketing, specifically differentiation. So let me back up for 1 second. There are only two ways to meaningfully differentiate any kind of product or service in marketing. The first way is what's called a unique selling proposition, usually referred to as a USP. A USP was first popularized many, many moons ago by direct response legend Rosser Reeves. A USP is when you have a product or service that offers a unique benefit to your prospect, meaning they can't experience that particular benefit with any other competing product or service. You are the only one who offers that unique benefit. When you're able to offer a unique benefit, you have a USP. Here's the reality. The reality is USPs today are extremely rare. They're usually only found with disruptive technology. Like, let's say when Uber, the ride sharing company, first hit the scene, they had many unique selling propositions, right? Up to that point, everybody had to wait for a yellow cab. You had to wait in line. You had to have cash on you. You couldn't track them. And then Uber came along and said, right, like, you don't need to carry cash. You can hail the ride from your phone. You'll know exactly when they're going to arrive. You'll know exactly when you're going to arrive at your destination. You'll know the exact car you're going to get into, right? It was a disruptive technology. And so there were lots of USPs. We know that today, thanks to companies like Lyft, other ride sharing competitors, those are no longer USPs. But the point that I'm making is that a USP today, for most of your listeners, is rare. That brings us to the second, right? The second way to differentiate, which I started to say is the most effective way today for your listeners, and that's a unique mechanism. A unique mechanism. A unique mechanism is really nothing more than being able to demonstrate how your product or service works to deliver the result. So it's not about claiming that your product or service can deliver a unique benefit. It's just saying, here's how my product works differently than all the other products to give you the result, to give you the transformation, to solve your problem. Right. So it allows us, right? It allows us to come into a market and say something like, I have a new and different way for you to experience the result. I have a new and different way for you to lose weight. I have a new and different way for you to get the six pack. I have a new and different way for you to get out of debt. This way, right, is wildly different than anything else that you're likely familiar with, than anything else that you've likely tried before. right? Let me explain to you what makes this way different and better than every other way that you've tried. And in this context, that different way is the unique mechanism. And it's really just about identifying how does your product or service work to produce the result, and what makes the way that it works different from the way that everybody else's product or service works to deliver the result. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. It is
Okay.
literally making sense, because if we understand how does my product is actually giving result in which way, that's literally define the entire journey of the customer acquisition, and they understand that yes, this is something I want, and this is my, that is the product that actually helping me to achieve my end result. That
Yep.
literally powerful thing. Yes, super. As we are here from last 26 minutes, and I am noticing each and everything that you are making, every single thing is in simple way, and your book is also emphasizing in the importance of simplicity. I read your book, which is really powerful. And so could you delve deeper in this concept of, and explain like how you transform complex concept into easily understandable? Like I'm understanding each and everything from last 25 minute, 26 minute, you are making it very simple. How you are doing it? What is approach of what is your approach to simplifying the complicated information?
I don't know if I have a great answer to this. I think that, my desire, look, my desire to keep things simple really stems from the fact that my mind thrives on simplicity. I was never a good student in school. I struggled throughout school, even though I've got, a nice hefty library today. I don't think I read a full book from cover to cover until I was like 20 years old. And so I thrive on simple. And so there's that, right? So I'm always looking for the simple. I'm not looking for the complex answer, right? I'm looking for the simple answer, which I really think that everybody that's watching and listening should always be searching for, right? The other thing to realize, the two other things to realize is that business, so complexity is the enemy of scale in business. Complexity is the enemy of scale. The more complex your business is, the more complex your business model is, the more complex your pricing is, the more complex certainly your marketing plan is, the harder it's going to be to scale. And I've learned that lesson over the last 2 decades plus more times than I care to admit. I've been reminded of it. And I've had to coach clients several times through moving away from complexity to simplicity. So, scale comes from simplicity, right? Complexity is the enemy of scale. The other thing, the third thing is that, look, let's really boil it down. Like I said, marketing and sales is really at its core. It really is simple. Too many people get caught up in all of these crazy analytics, in these crazy metrics, in these crazy concepts. When really, look, think about it, and we already said it, right? We really already covered it. Think about it. At the root, at the foundation, what
Yes.
business is all about is offering a solution to a group of people that have an existing problem that they want solved. And it's our job to show them that we've got a different and better solution than what's out there. That's it. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it. Too many people, when they think of, how do I craft a marketing message? They start to get caught up in, I need to think like a copywriter. I need to think like an online marketer. I need to think like a salesperson. I need to use this language. I need to use NLP. I need to use these hooks. I need to use open loops. I need to stop. Forget that. Certainly forget that for now, right? And focus on the fact that somebody's got a problem. You have a solution to that problem. Now it's your job to show them what makes your solution different and better than the other options out there. And then the last thing that I would say, which we haven't talked about yet, is make them an offer for your product or service
Yeah.
that is so good, it's hard for them to say no. right? In other words, make an offer, put together a proposition for them to get your product or service that is so enticing and so compelling for them that it's hard to say no. If you do that, and that's simple, right? Simple. You don't have to think about algorithms. You don't have to think mathematical formulas. You don't have to think about persuasion triggers and devices. Recognize, right? You have a solution to a problem. It's different. It's superior. Here's why. And here is such a great offer that you have no reason to say no to it. That's your job. That's what I look for.
Mic drop. You nailed it. Like, again, when the question was simplicity, and you make it very simple. You make it simple, and as simple as like you explain it each and everything. And just now you also talk about offer. So if we can go a bit about it, like how someone can create their offer in such a way that people can say, I want to buy it. How, if you want to share your experience on offer creation, the people who's watching us, listening us, what is your approach to creating an offer? It's literally going to give another golden nugget to us.
Yeah, so there are two things to think about when it comes to the offer. Two kind of big things. So the first is that you have to, in an ideal world, this is right, putting together the perfect offer, if you will. So in an ideal world, you start with what I call an attractive solution. And an attractive, right? So the solution to solve somebody's problem is extremely attractive. What makes a solution attractive? A solution is attractive when it works quickly and it's easy to implement. Right. So when you have a solution that works quickly and is easy to implement, then it becomes an attractive solution. When you have a solution and it's going to require a long time for somebody to learn how to implement it, it's going to be expensive to implement, it's going to be painful to implement, there's going to be a lot of room for error when they implement, that's an unattractive solution. Right? That's an unattractive solution. And so the example that I give real quick, I tell people, I talk often about, imagine that what we were marketing and selling was a solution that helped people grow a green, lush lawn, right? So let's say people want a gorgeous, green, lush, thick grass lawn outside. And we were able to say to them, like, look, I have a solution for you. It works in 48 hours. And after 48 hours, you will have a gorgeous green, lush lawn. And you can actually put it to work first before you even pay me, and then only pay me in 48 hours once you have a green, lush lawn. Now, on the surface, to the typical entrepreneur and online marketer, that sounds like a great offer. But what if I said to you that the solution requires you for those 48 hours to sleep outside on your lawn, and every hour on the hour, dig up a part of your lawn with your hands, and then, put some saliva in a hole. And you had to do that every hour on the hour for 48 hours, right? Well, that's an unattractive solution. Nobody's going to do that, right? People wouldn't even take that solution if we offered to give it to them and pay them to do it, because the solution is so unattractive. And so you want to start with an attractive solution, something that your prospect will see is easy to implement and produces fast results. So the first thing, I said that there were two big things. The first is you want to have an attractive solution, and you have to understand, what does my market think of as an attractive solution? This is not what you consider to be an attractive solution. This is what is an attractive solution to my marketplace. And so this is why I said that you have to understand your market. There's a whole research process. Like the E5 method is a 5-stage method. The first stage is all about knowing your market and understanding what makes them tick and all that. And so, right? So we have to understand what the market considers to be an attractive solution. Once we have that part, an attractive solution, then the other big thing, the other big piece to putting together an offer is what we call the proposition. And here's where we want an irresistible proposition. The proposition consists of things like, what do they actually get? The deliverables, right? Like what are we actually giving them? And then price, terms, risk reversal or guarantee, and premiums or bonuses, right? So when most people think of the offer, what they're really thinking about is that one big thing, that the irresistible proposition. The key is the key to having an irresistible proposition, really, if we really wanted to boil it down, comes down to terms and risk reversal. So let me cover those real quick. Terms
Yes.
are so look, you could have a product that costs let's say $100. That's the price. It's $100. But the terms could be pay today. You pay $100 today and then you get the product. That's what we call a typical hard offer. That's 99.9% of products and services out there. But you might also have pay nothing today and then use the product for another month. And then only in a month, if you love it, will you pay the $100. That's what we call a soft offer, right? And so then there's payment plan. Maybe it's 4 payments of $25, and right. And so you can manipulate the terms without changing the price to make the offer more attractive, right? So it's a lot more attractive to say to somebody, pay nothing today and only pay in 30 days if you love it, versus pay today and then return it in 30 days if you don't love it, right? Same price, but totally
Yes.
different terms. And then so we can manipulate the terms to make it extremely attractive. Most people today, when they look at a product, especially a high price point product, they don't think in terms of total price. They think in terms of payments. Can I afford $200 a month? Can I afford $300 a month? Can I afford, $50 a month? What can I afford per month? So changing the terms allows you to have a higher price product, right? But make it more attractive, make it more irresistible by changing the terms. Risk reversal is just, what's the guarantee, right? Will can they return it and get their money back? If they return it and they're unhappy, will they get double their money back? Will they get their money back plus a $100 gift card to Amazon, just as your way of thanking them for trying the product? See, I can take a proposition, I could change the terms to make it a no-brainer for them to say yes today, and then I could put a guarantee on it that makes them feel like I can't lose with this, because right, I don't even have to pay for 30 days, and then I can use the product for another 6 months, and at any point I don't love it, I can return it, get all my money back plus a $100 gift card. Boom, right? Like, that's a no-brainer for me. So when you have an attractive solution, one that your prospect believes is easy to implement and produces the results quickly, and then you wrap it in an irresistible proposition with great terms and a great risk reversal proposition, man, you've got the makings for a killer offer.
Literally crazy. I got some good ideas for my own product and my own services while you are delivering the talk. Literally, so much insight you shared in just 5-7 minutes, and it's all about giving the solution. It's all about solving their big problems. The how you are creating, and the example that you give of the 48 hours, the saliva and all, is literally powerful. Like, people, if you are listening us right now, make sure you can listen this episode once again, because this episode give you change your game for marketing and for sales. Literally powerful.
Yeah.
So Todd, thank you for giving your precious time to on this beautiful evening. Okay, for you it's a morning, for me. So where people can connect with you?
So you can find me on Instagram, Todd Brown, TODD BROWN. You can find me on Facebook. You could also go to our website at Todd Brown, TODDBROWN.me, and you'll be able to find links to my book and a variety of free resources and whatnot.
Awesome, thank you. And I hope you enjoy the session. I hope you love the questions and all. So, if before we wrap up the show, what is your 3 piece of advice to the people who is on their face of giving up, or on their face of struggling in their business?
Keep going. I mean, keep going. Look, the beauty of direct response marketing is that it's a skill that anybody can learn. It's not a talent. It's not a talent like singing or painting or writing poetry, right? Where you're either born with it or you're not. This is a skill that anybody can learn. And I think that you keep going. like, because, you know, keep going, because the reward in the end is worth the work. You know, one thing I didn't get a chance to share is that when I first started my business, I was still working my full-time job. So, right, I was still working my full-time job, and I worked my full-time job, I think, for a year while I was growing my business. And every single dime that I made from my business, I just reinvested back into the business while I was working full time. So I was getting up early in the morning, right, and working on the business early in the morning before my job. I was working on the business at night, and then I was working on the business on some weekends in the morning and whatnot. And I had two toddlers at home, 17 months apart. And so, right, there was sacrifice, there was work that had to be done, there was fear, and there was patience. Like, patience. There's too much talk online today in terms of online business, online marketing, about overnight riches and overnight wealth and overnight success. And too many people have the delusion that you should be able to start a business and in 30 days you're making money hand over fist. The reality is that the overwhelming majority of you are going to need to be patient. You're going to need to practice delayed gratification. Recognize that there are things that you're going to need to do today that aren't going to pay you dividends for months and months and months. That's okay. That's the nature of the beast. Stay the course. You can do this. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to have crazy connections. You don't need to start with a bunch of money. You don't need to be a tech wizard. But what you do need to do is continue to take action, continue to put one foot in front of another. And if you do that, you will eventually be successful. Keep going.
Literally, again, golden nugget, mic drop ideas. And thank you so much, Todd, and each and everyone who is watching us. Thanks a lot for giving your precious time. Thanks a lot, Todd. Till then, Nilesh, Jain and Todd Brown is signing off. Have a great day.